Hello everyone, this is Peter from Ultra Journeys. Welcome to my presentation on my winter traverse of Uttarakhand in the winters of 2021. A small background on my Ultra Journeys. So in 2017, I quit the corporate world to focus full-time on exploration of the mountains, especially the Indian Western Himalayas. Last November till February this year, I covered 2,000 kilometers in deep winters over some 3 months across the entire breadth of Uttarakhand, crossing 110 passes and as many valleys, over 170,000 meters of elevation gain, which is roughly 17 times the height of Mount Everest, and discovering amazing hospitality as usual in more than 500 remote villages. On the right side, you can see my little solo tent, BV tent, pitched up on the top of Kalyan Top above Munsiari, watching the sunset while camping on frozen snow. I'm a minimalist, as some of you might know already. So I'm an ultra runner in background, so I go very light and fast. I don't carry food, I don't cook, I don't carry water, even drink from the stream directly. So I have a minimal shelter supported by a good friend Husefa from Himachal, who supplies me with lightweight warm gears branded as Blue Bolt. You can see my total luggage for the winter, which was hardly 5 to 6 kilograms overall, very less compared to the usual 60 liters, 25 kilogram backpacks. Exploration as usual. So this time I was using heavily the Survey of India maps. As you know, the government has opened mapping since mid-February to private parties, and now you can get access to really a treasure of thousands of beautiful trails and routes, hiking routes through the entire Himalayas, which can be downloaded from the survey site. The dotted red lines you see there are all beautiful trails across high passes connecting villages and valleys. Here is my journey. So here you can see Uttarakhand actually at the base, and the high ranges above Uttarakhand, marked in yellow there, the Bandarpunch range on the west, then Gangotri, southwest, northeast subsections, the Kamet group, Badrinath site, and then Nanda Devi on the east, the northern, the southern subsection, to finally reach eastern Kumaon on the border with Nepal. Red lines below there, or it's my 2,000 kilometer traverse over these 3 months. Was not possible to go beyond 4,000 meters for an exploration journey, as I was already hitting some 2-3 feet of snow, knee-deep, hip-deep snow. So that was the maximum we could do, but still was able to cover beautiful ranges, pretty remote, at the foothills of these majestic ranges, and get stunning views along the way. Here we go. So we started off on the left side. The circle here is somewhere near Mussoorie or Dehradun, from where I reached from a train all the way from Chennai to Delhi to Dehradun. And from there, I basically proceeded straight up to the north, and then basically did a couple of east, left, right traverses from the west to the east, western side of Uttarakhand, all the way to the border with Nepal, the Gori Ganga Valley on the right side there. You can see all the major streams here, the major rivers like the Yamuna, the Bhagirathi, the Bilangi, the Nandakini, the Alaknanda, the Gori Ganga, so all major streams originating from these high snow-capped peaks and glaciers, basically meltwater flowing down and cutting deep, steep valleys and gorges through the lower Himalayan foothills of Uttarakhand. You can again see the hiking route in the red, and the pink crosses are basically the passes that I hopped across, connecting all these various beautiful valleys and streams. I'm going to show some videos in this presentation, mostly to give you a visual idea of a couple of highlights along this journey. 3 months, 2,000 kilometers, too massive in terms of experiences and photos and videos to show. So I just picked some 30-40 videos here, which I think will give you a feel of the kind of journey that I've been through.
Hi there, coming from Mussoorie and walking through beautiful trails towards Nachtiba, 3000 meters. Stunning views there on the valley through which we climbed up. Solid 1000-meter ascent. Amazing place. Nice trails and a beautiful forest. Mix of pine forest and other barren kind of forest. Just met a couple of shepherds on the way who are coming back from the higher altitudes this winter. All excited about my Trans-Uttarakhand Traverse mid-level this winter. Stay tuned for more updates coming soon.
Okay, so
Hi there, coming
for next video.
Drinking waters every now and then. Much less common than during the summer months, but still you can manage without carrying a bottle.
Voila, you can see beautiful lush green forest at the foothills of the Himalayas as we make our way north to the first focus of exploration there. The area around Uttarakhand, tucked between the Yamuna river flowing from Yamunotri here and the Bhagirathi river flowing from all the way from Gangotri here and flowing through basically Uttarakhand and then proceeding further east, towards New Teri, the big dam here, the Teri Dam, flowing down, merging, then also with the Alaknanda and becoming the Ganga River, which exits through Rishikesh and Haridwar. So here you can see several passes, several beautiful hiking routes in this green region. The green regions you see here, which were my focus of exploration, were typically uninhabited forest, virgin forest, basically, with very less human settlements. Only in the valley you will find villages for night stay and food supply. And you can see a lot of passes here, pink axis between these two valleys of Yamuna and Bhagirathi.
Muskaji. Heard of goat climbing up the Ayakarasu Pass, 2,900 meters already covered in snow on the western flank. Gateway, ancient pathway from the Yamuna Valley into Uttarakhand. My fourth encounter with the Gadis.
Yeah, so unlike my usual ultra journeys in summer, where I meet a lot of shepherds in the high alpine meadows, which they graze typically between May and November. During the winter, the mountains were pretty empty. Most days I would not meet a single soul, as people don't go up, as the mountains are covered with snow. The landscape is barren, there's not much fresh grass also for these animals to graze.
Muskaji.
On the way also we meet a lot of these remote tribal settlements, isolated dwellings or summer dwellings. In many cases deserted. People only stay during the summer, during good weather, above 2,500 meters. But some of these remote settlements still had some people. Here you can see a little girl of a tribal family playing with some doggies.
Hey, puppy. Oh, second puppy is also there. Bow, bow, bow. Bow, bow. Bow, 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 bow. Bow, 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 bow. Bow, bow. Bow, 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 bow.
Overwhelming hospitality as we meet these very remote settlements. I think no hiker or especially no outsider and also not solo hiker ever comes to these places. So as you meet these people, you see, they're very innocent, amazing hospitality. They kind of take ownership. I mean, they try to guide you, feed you, provide night shelters on your journey. So wonderful experience in terms of humanity in these remotest corners of the Himalayas. Here, then I stayed with the same family who cooked some food and gave me night shelter in their main house while they were actually sleeping then in a smaller shed. In the interest of time, I'm going to keep it a little bit short. Here again, you can see another dwelling, in this case an isolated summer dwelling, which is only inhabited during the summer, during the winter here in the month of November. When I crossed this pass just above this settlement at 2,500 meters, I believe, it was fully covered by snow, so not really possible for people or comfortable for people to stay or farm here or live here. So they retreat to the lower villages in the valleys in winter and come back during summer to these places.
We are just some 200 meters below the Silpari Pass there, and discovered an deserted hamlet, completely buried under the snow. Whole landscape is below 1.5 foot of snow. Lucky the sky is clear and blue, so it's kind of pleasant to walk through the snowy landscape. You can see some 10 different buildings there. Let's see if we make it up to the Silpari Pass there at 3,000 meters at the end of November already.
Okay. So after extensive exploration of the area around Uttarakhand, I moved the first step south towards the Balganga and the Bilangana river valleys here, where again, you come around the villages of Kutu and Budakeda, very beautiful, very remote, deep inside, difficult to access via road, but connected through beautiful hiking routes.
The isolated summer dwelling of Bahi Karak at some 3,000 meters on the way to the Munsri Pass, crossing over from Ginwali to Gutu as part of the Gangotri Kedarnath Traverse. Beautiful place here, very remote, very peaceful in the winter, nobody around.
You can find beautiful, thousands of these beautiful remote settlements, which again are isolated, many of them above 2,500, 3,000 meters in the winters, but still perfect candidates actually for any hiker to sleep in the night and be more safely against wildlife when you're camping out there alone. You can see many of these are still in use in the winter. They have replaced the roofs with fresh straw to protect their homes from the heavy snowfall during winter. One problem with exploration in winter and snow is that you tend to lose the trail if there's too much of snow cover. It completely blanks out the path, and the trails underneath covers the entire landscape with a uniform white blanket, which makes exploration especially difficult.
Climbing up now from Bahi Karak over there, last hamlet to the pass. Too much snow, so lost the trail. So scrambling on the ridge again as usual. Stunning views though around me, but quite steep. Not too much snow on the ridge itself. You see another deserted settlement over there on the slope. Amazing, we're in heaven. Stunning views, 360.
Voila, as you can see, things become more tough as you lose the trail below the snow, and then you basically start following the contour map, looking at the steepness terrain and making your own way across ridges and valleys. As I proceed further east, I come across on top of these passes on stunning views actually on the high ranges of Uttarakhand, here the Bandar Punch and the Gangotri range.
Spectacular views on the Himalayan skyline. On the left here we see the Bandarpur range, and as we go eastwards we see the Gangotri subsection. Stunning views on the high ranges.
And one other very beautiful thing about Uttarakhand, I would say, is these cobbled rock paths. You have thousands and thousands of kilometers of actually unknown, beautiful heritage paths which were being constructed manually generations ago, still in pretty good condition. But of course, over decades of monsoon rains and snowfall and landslides and overgrowth of jungle, some of the paths are less in good shape now, especially if they are not used anymore by the locals. But these rock paths really make such a beautiful hiking destination, all beautifully documented on the survey maps.
Following an amazing rock path leading up to the Belakal Pass, 3000 meters, probably snow covered, connecting the Gangotri Valley with a valley south. Amazing path, ancient, probably not used anymore. Everyone is using buses and roads these days.
Okay, then moving further east, we go to the Bilanga River Valley, where we come around Buddha Kedar, a beautiful region, one of, in addition to the Yamunotri, the Kedarnath, the Gangotri range, this is Buddha Kedarnath river almost, or range, which is also pretty famous and has some amazing places if you go up in the mountains.
We reached the campsite at the base of the Kaila Pir Pass at 3,400 meters. We just took some snow here from near our shelters and melting it now. Took a while to get the fire up and running at this high altitude, low oxygen environment. So Palani is eager to drink after almost 6 hours of no water.
Okay, as I said, I'll keep the videos a little short. So here we're basically on a 4-day traverse, all the way from the Gangotri, the Bhagirathi Valley, till Kedarnath, basically over 4 mid-level passes, close to 4,000 meters. So quite challenging in here, beginning of December, some recent snowfall actually. So we're making our way through foot-deep snow across these 4 passes on through an ancient path connecting Gangotri and Kedarnath. Here you can see again some beautiful views the next morning when we walk on one of the passes, the Kaila Pir Pass.
Welcome at the base of the Kaila Pir Pass. We're walking through 1 feet deep snow here. Just woke up from a beautiful hamlet of Gotu there below the Bandar Punch range, and now walking towards the pass. The fresh snow which fell a couple of weeks ago is all frozen, so quite easy to walk through. Beautiful landscape. Bandar Punch behind me, and over there we're walking to the southwestern section of Gangotri.
Voila. Going then further towards the Kutu side, I come across my first live wildlife encounter, a recently deceased carcass of a leopard. Very scary, huge predator and dangerous animal. even while it was recently deceased, it was really scary to approach it, to take some videos. Informed the government department of this found, which retrieved the body later on and identified through autopsy that it was probably a territorial struggle between two male leopards.
On the way from Pinswari to Ginwali, going through some dense jungle here and finding the relatively fresh corpse of, I guess, a leopard, pretty big pussycat, big tail there. Some damage on the skin here, not sure on the cause of death. Huge paws, not as big as mine though. Beautiful species. Eyes have been removed already.
Okay. So once in a while, of course, we completely lose the trail. The maps, the Survey of India maps, are decades old, sometimes more than 100 years old, still from the Great Trigonometry survey done by the British in the 18th century. So some of the trail mentioned there are not very either accurately mapped or not further existing, as they have been destroyed through landslides or overgrown by jungle. So sometimes you again end up in free solo exploration following ridges and valleys, scrambling through the raw Himalayan terrain.
On the way to Ginwali, we lost the trail once again, just like last year. Climbed down very steeply behind me. Finally reached the valley here in the stream. Planning to follow this one to reach my destination. Good water flow. Whoa, slippery. Water is ice cold. On the way to Ginwali.
Okay. On the way also in these remote villages, especially in the month of November, December, when there are a lot of auspicious dates, you come across many local marriages where you encounter the traditional customs, heritage customs followed in Uttarakhand in tying the knot here in the village of Ginwali. Good thing about marriages is that you get invited easily and quickly get yummy food after going through one day of serious exploration in no man's land. As I said, many deserted villages on the way here. We're crossing over from the Gutu side towards Kedarnath. We're not able to make it eventually through heavy overnight snowfall over the Kuken Col Pass of 3,700 meters. Summer dwellings again are deserted in winter, but perfect actually for a solo hiker in these places to camp in the night, make a nice fire and cook some food.
We settled down today on the way to Kedarnath, in a deserted summer dwelling, Panwali Kanta. Comfortable shelter here, a lot of hay, nice place to sleep, and a warm campfire. Ideal place to spend the night during the winter. Last summer, a lot of people in the town. Probably left in October and now completely deserted. We settled down.
Well, this was the place I camped overnight, Panwali Kanta, beautiful village along a major route towards Kedarnath. Beautiful rock path also. I slept in, closed the door, barricaded the door for any possible wildlife in the night, and then slept off. Peaceful night. All of a sudden, 6 a.m. in the morning, I got woken up by loud thunder, and I knew that I could be in trouble. Looked outside, and the complete barren grass landscape was completely covered in snow. It started snowing already for hours over the night without my knowledge. Basically being away like some 5 hours, 2,000 kilometers up from the nearest village, I was in possible trouble here of getting snowed in and not able to get out of this place.
Woke up this morning, 6 a.m. with a loud thunder. On the way to the Kyunkun Kal Pass, 3,700 meters. I knew it was trouble. I looked outside my shelter and the landscape, which was clear yesterday evening with a blue sunny sky, was completely covered in white snow. So being 2,000 meters up in the mountain, 5 hours away from the nearest village, I knew time was critical to start moving before I'm totally stuck. So I packed up super quickly and started moving 1 hour before darkness. It was difficult to navigate. Lucky I had the GPS trail recorded, so I could find my way in the dark. Otherwise, it would have been completely gone case. Lesson learned, check the weather forecast in the mountains, which basically again was difficult with no network. So second lesson learned, get a BSNL or an Airtel prepaid SIM so you can check the weather forecast.
Okay.
Woke up.
So one good thing about Uttarakhand actually is that in most of these valleys, even though you're pretty deep inside, close to the foothills of these high ranges, that you still have pretty good network coverage, which allows you to kind of stay in touch, update your base team and check the weather forecast. Okay, so after an unsuccessful attempt here I was getting stuck near the Kyunkun Kal Pass, 3,700 meters in heavy snowfall on the way to Kedarnath here at the origin of the Nandakini Valley. So I took another route back up through lower altitude passes and reached the Nandakini Valley a bit downstream here and started exploring this beautiful range here around Tungnath and the old 5,000-year-old ancient Tungnath temple and Chandra Shila Peak.
Good morning from the top of Chandra Shila, 3,600 meters. Freezing cold nights, but nice comfy warm thanks to my Blue Bolt -12 quilt. It was quite a night here testing the limits of lightweight warm gears. Come and take a look at my view here. You can see the beautiful Chokchamba up there. Stunning views this morning. Waking up in paradise. I just pitched up above the 5,000-year-old Tungnath temple, some 200 meters below me. It was like an icy wind blowing through the snow-covered slope here. I was a bit worried on the night, but the quilt is amazing. It's really magic. You get it. Good morning.
Okay. So here you can see some beautiful views from the top of Tungnath, which is like around 3,700 meter altitude at in the foothills basically of Kedarnath. So stunning views from the top of this during sunset.
Welcome to sunset on Chandra Shila Peak at 3,800 meters. Stunning views. Small temple on top. There we see the Gangotri range, all colored orange during the sunset. The mighty Chokchamba there, beautiful. Wind must be blowing hard. And further towards the east, we can see the next range coming up there. Far away. I'll be heading that side as I proceed from west to east across Uttarakhand.
Okay, So then from Tungnat with Chopta village at the base, pretty well-known village, I followed an unknown ridge here across a beautiful extension, I think, of the ancient Tungnat temple trail, which got me towards the mid-level town of Pokri.
Welcome to paradise again. Left touristic Chopta and was planning a nice long ridgeline traverse, and to my surprise found this pretty nice path here, partly covered in snow on the shady areas, which clearly shows me the way. Beautiful views all around me. It's really awesome to walk on the ridges and see the valleys and forests around you. Stunning views there. You can see
and on the way, you come across again these small villages in the valleys where you will find kids playing with very creative tools here.
automobile in the mountains.
So amazing to actually go through these remote villages, which also have a lot of beautiful kind of old heritage homes built of natural materials, wood and stone. Here you can see one of those older villages, older houses, 200 years old in one of these small villages, just having a handful of homes.
Looking at a beautiful 200-year-old house here. Beautiful handcraft. Here we can see Lord Ganesha, elephant and the peacock, fish, marriage procession. Dula.
Horse.
Horse. Yeah.
Pig. Bacha.
Pig bacha. Okay, okay. क्या है?
Tea.
Oh, tea. Nice, yeah.
Chair.
Okay, we'll move on again in the interest of time. So after exploring the range around Kedarnath side, Chopta, again, I went back to here Rishikesh actually to pick up a new co-tracker, and then we moved back to the Balganga site where we explored additional passes along the beautiful Buddha Kedarnath range. Here again, wonderful hospitality in the small village on the way to the pass towards Wan village.
We just reached the village of Kanol at 2,600 meters, and we're just invited in this family home to have some black tea. Beautiful warm place here. It's getting colder as we go up to the 3,000-meter high Kukin Kal Pass.
No, this is on the way to the Kukin Kal Pass when we actually got trapped. I mean, not trapped. We got encountered with pretty thick snow on the way while crossing over from Sitel village to Wan village across the Kukin Kal Pass. A wonderful experience actually to walk through the snow. Here we have some horses coming back down from the pass from Wan, providing supplies to the village of Konal, which is disconnected from any road.
Horses descending from the Kukin Kal at 3,000 meters through the snow with heavy load from one village to Kunal. What a sight.
Here then higher up on the pass, you're getting beautiful views of the landscapes actually covered in fresh snow, Snowfall completely transforms the landscapes. It's like you're walking in a different world, very beautiful, but at the same time, very challenging, of course, as you explore paths which are completely hidden below this white blanket.
Beautiful views on the valley below Kal from 3000 meters here, fully covered in snow overnight as we make our way to the 3000 meter high pass. Good foot of snow fell down in just one night. People are still traveling between one village and Kanol. Beautiful blanket of snow has covered the forest. It's like we're in a completely different world compared to yesterday.
Then also very interesting, as you go through some of these remote villages, 500 in total along my 3 months journey, you come across interesting traditional cultures. Here, ladies, elder ladies of the village dancing and shouting loudly to remember, basically to connect, I think, with the recently departed souls from the village in the afterlife, while the entire village is gathered in one place. Nice to basically have this combination of beautiful untouched nature with then this hospitality and this tradition as you go through these remote untouched settlements. From here, this village you saw just now, we climbed up above Buddha Kedar to Masartal, beautiful frozen lake at 3000 meters in the month. This is second half of December. The lake is completely frozen. The landscape is partly covered by snow. Will always be remembered as a freezing cold night here to stay over.
Sun is rising on top of the frozen Mansartal Lake here. Thick sheet of ice already at the beginning of winter. Small Mandir. Snow-covered peaks of Gangotri. Beautiful place, absolute silence with nobody around.
Many of these high altitude or alpine lakes are basically considered holy by the local population. They're typically the target of an annual pilgrimage, mostly during the summer months, of course, between May to August. So when you go to these places in the winter, you're all by yourself, all alone, and it's really amazing. It's magical to roam in these beautiful, serene places covered in snow. Here we descend from Masartal to the remote village of Pinswari in the Bal Ganga Valley, again through pretty deep snow at 3000 meters end of December.
We are descending into deep snow towards the Pinswari Valley here, sinking deep inside. Stunning views down there. My coat tracker is hitting knee-deep snow. It's okay, proceeds. Whoa, quite deep.
You can basically see that going through a nice summer trail in winter becomes a totally different story in terms of both finding the path as well as identifying. I mean, the pace go much slower in this deep snow compared to summer when it's really you can walk at a decent pace. Voila, here after I think 1.5 months exploration, it was time to wash the clothes once. Mostly it's too cold up there in the snow and the ice to take a bath. But once in a while, due to all the sweat and trekking 25 kilometers a day over 2,000 meter elevation gain, we need to refresh the clothes when we reach a spring in one of the villages in the lower valleys. Traditional washing. Voila, so after then finishing the exploration around the Putu and Buddha Keder sites, I moved towards the east, towards the Nandakini site here, Nandakini and Pinda River flowing from the Pindari Glacier, focusing on the Kali Ganga river in between. Beautiful region also there. We have
running down a beautiful rock path here from the Kundarakal to Urgam village. Wonderful ancient path connecting Urgam with Dumak village, soon to be obsoleted due to a new road being built, which will make everybody lazy and forget about these beautiful paths through the forest. Running down
So here we basically follow a beautiful ancient trail from Dumak village to Urgam, which is at the base of the Badrinath range, basically. Here then we explore a snow-covered trail to the famous Brahmatal lake from the village of Wan. Here you see the non-touristic trail, which basically nobody takes, but very beautiful. Only thing is, of course, very challenging to open a path which is fresh, covered by fresh snow.
Climbing up the final ridge line here at 3,600 meters to Brahmatal. Steep and deep snow. After this it should contour gradually. Stunning views behind us on Trishul 123 and Nanda Guni over there. Here is the ridge through which we walked up, path hardly visible. And as we go further west, we see the other beautiful high ranges of Garhwal. Deep snow here as we go to higher altitudes. Climbing up.
Look, here another view from the same trail a bit higher up with stunning views on the southern Nanda Devi section with Trishul and Nanda Gunti.
Views are getting more stunning as we make our way up to the 3,600 meter ridge line that gives access to Brahmatal. Deep snow now, but back on track as we wade through this white landscape below the valley below Wan, and on that side lower Uttarakhand to the southeast. Vertical ridge slopes here and a deeply covered snow track to be opened up to Brahmatal.
Here then on the way back from Brahmatal to Wan, again going through some of the remote isolated dwellings, you come across people engaged in traditional handicrafts. Here weaving a bamboo basket, which is used by ladies to gather leaves and manure from the forest on their daily activities.
Local art of bamboo weaving. Nice baskets used by the ladies to collect grasses from the forest. Beautiful craftsmanship here. All soon to be replaced by plastic and artificial materials.
Okay, and then proceeding further east, we go with right to the southern Nanda Devi section to the Gori Ganga along the Pindari river there and the Ram Ganga, where we basically explore the beautiful region around Munsiari. And here we come across again an ancient tradition, the art of wool spinning with a special local tool.
The art of sheep wool weaving.
Here again, walking down on one of those beautiful rock cobble paths. 1,000 kilometers of these hidden paths are there, hidden in Uttarakhand and nicely brought out, discovered in the golden treasure of the Survey of India maps.
Welcome to the beautiful rock paths of Uttarakhand, connecting the interior hamlets across the valleys, across the passes where no roads have reached yet. Love these paths. Take us to the most beautiful and remote corners of Uttarakhand, through beautiful forests, above the booths, and finally in rock and snow on the passes.
Voila. Here we're hiking up to the Kalia top, a 3,700 meter high peak above Munsiari. Bit of a known, more touristic destination, but again, more challenging in winter as you make your way through knee-deep snow.
Climbing further steep up to the Kalyan top, mid-January, in thick snow. Lucky the path has been opened already, so much easier than walking through a virgin trail. Kalyan is up there, another 200 meters. At 3,700 meters, fully covered by snow. Stunning views all around us. There's the Mailam and the Ralam valleys ahead of us. And further to the east, Panchchuli as part of the eastern Kumaon range. We're in winter heaven here.
Then on top of Kalyan, it was again time to test my lightweight minimalistic gears to see how much can they stand of the winter cold. So here I pitched up in a pretty exposed place in mid-Jan on 3,700 meters, very cold in the night, but very beautiful as you watch the sunset and the sunrise from these bird's eye view places.
Mesmerizing views on the high ranges of Kumaon and Nanda Devi on the left side as the sun slowly sets down beneath the horizon. Ready to settle down here in my blue, bold solo tent. My quilt, minus 12 quilt, should hopefully keep me warm at this altitude of 3,700 midwinter 2021.
wonderful night here, bearing the extreme weather elements, but getting treated on amazing views during the end and the beginning of a new day.
Mesmerizing views on the high ranges of Kumaon and Nanda Devi on the left side as the sun slowly sets down beneath the horizon.
Yeah, I think this we covered already. Then the final section towards the border of Nepal was across 3 lesser known passes, very remote region here in Kumaon, connecting the Gori Ganga with the Dharma Valley, basically, which is well known as an ancient trade route between India and Tibet. So here we can see Leo, my co-trekker from France, who joined me for 10 days, climbing up the Balsikal Pass. Again, pretty heavy snow here at 3,800 meters, mid-Jan, deep winter.
Now closing into the Darti Karak, going to knee-deep snow here. Last section of the pass. Quite intense. As we make our way up, sinking in deeper with every step, 3,800 meters. After a nice south exposed trail on the other slope.
As you can see again, opening and snow-covered pass in winter is quite challenging compared to doing the same traverse in winter. So here we basically covered almost 2,700 meter elevation gain, covered 3 passes, 3.7, 3.8, 3.9, to reach our destination in the Dharma Valley, a small town, Sungdom, isolated, well and disconnected from the road. We only reached after darkness, pretty exhausted, and again immediately got received with a very heartwarming welcome in this remote mountain tribal settlement.
Eating the rotis on the wood fire and nicely mixing with yummy ghee, probably homemade ghee. Yummy. Wonderful dinner after a 2,500 meter elevation gain and 30 kilometers across 3 passes in a single day. That's yummy.
Well, it's really amazing to be hosted in these remote villages by very heart welcoming hospitality by these innocent people. Here then the next morning in the same village of Sungdom, we help the villagers with feeding some of the small sheep. Voila. And then further, as we make our U-turn back from Nepal towards the western side of Uttarakhand through some remote regions, lower altitude traverse, we come across sometimes local gatherings of villagers near temples during annual festivals, where again we get treated on yummy local cuisine.
Local temple function here, preparing food. Parceling for the village.
Here a beautiful rock path along a near vertical slope on the way between two villages no longer used. Mostly people are using many newly constructed roads in Uttarakhand now built by the government. And it's amazing to walk along these generations, probably 100 years old trails, which have been made in such a genius way that they survived decades and decades. Very challenging, very steep terrain.
Beautiful rock cut paths carved into a near vertical rock face here on the way to a small village, climbing over out of the Matkot Valley to the neighboring site. Steep deep drops below us, and here a beautiful pathway that runs across the steep slope.
Voila. So what you have seen so far is all about exploring the lesser known regions of Uttarakhand, the non-commercial areas. Once in a while, of course, you come across places like in the base of Brahmatal, the touristic site, where you then see the totally different side. Hundreds of tents pitched up, a lot of noise, a lot of pollution, over-commercialized, over-exploited places, actually complete opposite of the lesser known journeys where you meet with so much of hospitality.
At the base camp of Brahmatal, just below Bekaltal, next to a small lake here. People are coming up there from Uttarakhand. Pretty touristic here, a lot of tents. Busy place, Brahmatal. A lot of permanent camps also from the commercial groups.
Voila, then proceeding again towards the west, we explored here the Bira Ganga Valley to the east of the Alaknanda. Here we come again across some kids playing on locally handcrafted tools, having a lot of fun on the public roads.
Super, what a speed.
Here we meet again the local people who are transporting goods and food towards remote villages not connected by road, so still using the traditional way of using mules to carry all these items to their home.
Transport moving up to the Pana village, down from the Biragi river valley. Oh, I think it's river sand to build place stuff. Namaskar.
Thank you.
Oh man.
Yeah, so steep paths inaccessible by roads in the stretch through steep terrain. So still using the traditional paths and ways of carrying stuff. Here we climb up steeply to the Kuari Pass, which connects this Birahi Valley with Oli and Joshimat, the Alaknanda Valley, over 3,800 meters. Again, pretty much covered on one side, the northern side. Here on the southern side, lucky the trail is clear, but pretty steep final section up to the pass.
We are now on the final 700 meters steep ascent to the Kuari Pass up there at 3,700 meters. Passage across the steep ridgeline here separating the valley of Joshimat and the site, the Birahi. We came all the way from there, those open meadows from Sartuli, from 6 kilometers away. After the ridge you'll have the last village we.
Voila. Here then we cross over the Kuari Pass and immediately at the north and western sides, which have less solar exposures, immediately hit deep snow again.
After crossing the Quarry Pass, we are now contouring in some serious frozen snow here. Oh, we can walk in it at 3,700 meters. Snow is partly breaking, partly frozen, mid-winter. Contouring from Quarry to the other ridge up there.
Voila. And then here we are exploring the area north of the Alaknanda rivers, north of Joshimath, towards the Badrinath sites and Rudranath more specifically. In between the pass crossings, we make use of whatever transport is available. Sometimes share taxis, sometimes you just hitch a ride on any passing vehicle, like here a vegetable lorry on the way to Urgam village.
The ride in a vegetable lorry on the way to Urgam village, from where we'll be proceeding to the next traverse to Badrinath and Bansi Narayan. Beautiful views there. Good 15-kilometer road section, which we can avoid.
Yeah, it's always interesting to avoid these boring road sections and focus on the trails between the last village on one side and the first village on the other side of the pass. Here we come up to Bansi Narayan, lesser known pilgrim destination and temple, a kind of replica, mini replica of the Kedarnath temple. There's a small shelter here with an Baba who stays here during the winter.
We reached the location of Bansi Narayan at 3,600 meter altitude. Pretty much covered in the snow here, north facing. There is the temple, kind of a mini replica of the famous Kedarnath. We also met a small shelter here and Sadhu, who seems to be staying in this place. Yes, not showing much words, might be a little bit shaken up by either hungriness or cold or solitude. Quite a place to meditate here, far away from human civilization.
Well, here we're going up to the high meadows near Rudranath, actually. Very beautiful again in winter, half covered by snow, descending along a ridge line here back in the forest towards Dumag village.
We're walking down the ridge line from Rudranath towards Dumag village. Down there, as we lost track of the connectivity towards the Naula Pass. From Dumag, we'll be exiting through the Tolital trail to Kunjam village and then connect to Shamoli.
Once you come down the Boohiels, you actually hit the forest, initially kind of pine forest and other native forest. And then closer to the streams, you will typically hit these dense bamboo jungles, which are extra challenging to get through.
After Boohiels and forest, we enter the bamboo forest now. We're following a small trail here. Have to crawl underneath sometimes to get through. Interesting experience. This will eventually get us down to the riverside.
In some cases, you just follow the animal trails through these jungles to make your way through. Here again, we're crossing a small road section from Shamoli Kompetswar on the way to a lesser known path near Chopta. people, local contractors from Uttarakhand who take ownership of laying new roads in their specific area. Here then on the way from the Shamli Kopeswar along again a beautiful ancient big white rock path no longer used due to people making use of the newly built roads.
Walking on another beautiful heritage path in Uttarakhand here on the way from Mandal to Chopta, connecting the Shamuli site with the Okimat Kedarnath site. Beautiful forgotten walking paths connecting valleys to passes, now bypassed by highways. So much of beautiful heritage in this state, which unfortunately is unknown and forgotten. So highly time to explore, to record, to map on OpenStreetMap and hopefully share with more independent hikers.
Voila. Then one of the final explorations was to come down a little bit more south to this green region here below the Alaknanda and the Pindari riverside here along the Nayar rivers, the west and the east, near Gersen actually. Very beautiful region, much below in the foothills, but also pretty good altitudes, partly covered in snow in winter, and very remote, very beautiful. Here we're going through again some of these heritage villages, beautiful ancient settlements, pretty high up in the valley, close to the passes at higher altitudes.
Fairy tale hamlet in the mountains here. The old heritage homes and the more modern buildings down there. Traditional homes have haystacks on top of their limestone tile roofs. Food for the cattle in the winter.
You can see here homes built of 2 floors. Typically animals are kept at the ground floor. They produce warmth and then people stay on the first floor. On top of the animals, you can also see here a lot of dry hay collected and kept on the roof above the snow, basically as animal food for during the winters. Here then, a lot of enthusiastic kids as you go through these villages where absolutely no outsiders, other outsider crosses. Okay. And then, as I mentioned, the government is pretty investing heavily, as I heard, in both Gujarat as well as Uttarakhand here in new infrastructure. Roads are built deep inside Uttarakhand, unfortunately causing a lot of landslides and destroying some of the old beautiful heritage paths. Roads are then followed by power lines and in this case, optical fiber cable from Reliance. So very soon, I mean, many of these remote villages will be connected with road, power and internet, which will, I think, partly also, I mean, cause development, of course. People have the right on development, but at the same time, destroy or deteriorate some of the well-preserved local heritage and cultures, unfortunately. Here again, we're exploring some of the passes around the same region covered by snow.
Hello there, we crossed over the main ridge line and now walking on what I believe is a trail here, covered in snow still. It's pretty cold, so I had to put on my jacket, which I normally don't want to do. I hope I'm on a little trail here that will get me down a small ridge line to the other side, different district. 1k to the next settlement on the Survey of India map. So hopefully, as we drop down there will be less snow and finally get a clear view on the trail. Hello there.
So here again, we're going almost off trail as the snow again covers the path. So in terms of food, I don't carry much food, just carry a few snacks along. And then whenever you go through these remote places, not seeing a single soul the entire day, when you then reach at the end of a tough day of exploration, the nearest village, of course, you indulge in a lot of the local cuisine here, like chow mein on top there and fried momos at the bottom. So yummy local food which really empowers you, along with a proper night rest. In winter, the nights are pretty long. So good food, good rest allows you to keep going for months with thousands of kilometers in these regions. Here again, we discovered one of these portly snow-covered dwellings on the higher altitude between the Uttarakhand and the Nayar river valley.
A good 100 meters below the pass at 3000 meters here, we discovered a snow-covered, deserted dwelling far away. It took me some 20 kilometers to reach here from the nearest roadhead. Still in use, I think, during the summer months. You can see walls made out of trees and mud are still in good condition. They have stacked up some firewood here for the next visit. You can see the people quarters, the kitchen where people cook, a wooden coffin there where they keep their stuff. Usually on the left side, one side will be for animals here, a little bit dark to see, and the other side of the building will be for people. Wooden roof covered with leaves to prevent the snow, melting snow from penetrating.
Beautiful remote settlements, ideal, again, night shelters for the lone explorer during the night. And then once you reach a beautiful viewpoint, of course, it's time to have some yummy snacks midday as you're crossing the pass.
It's midday on February 8th, 2021. We just climbed up a ridge line here out of the Uttarakhand river valley into the Pindari river valley ahead of us. Time for a nice samosa snack break. And more than the samosa, the view behind us is stunning there. You can see the Nanda Devi group in front of us looking towards the northeast. And while climbing up, we had another beautiful view on the Comet group now, a little behind us with the Chokamba sticking out. Okay guys, cheers. After a 1000-meter ascent, it's time to refill some calories. Cheers.
Bye.
Voila. Then again, in some of these places, you come very remote places near the top of the passes, you find in shelters, sadhus, basically holy men near a temple, who will stay there permanently in lonelytude for months, especially during the winters when nobody actually comes around, and sometimes are very happy to see somebody passing, inviting them to stay along, as well as giving them some tea and food.
शरीर में भी कोई रोग नहीं लगता है. कोई दुख दर्द नहीं, कोई बीमारी नहीं रहती.
Then again, down, hitting some of these deep jungle trails on the way down from the same sadhu.
Descending here through dense forest from the Sunbana pass into the Nandakini river valley, completely surrounded by dense jungle. Lucky we have a little used trail here that gets us through the dense forest, or otherwise like yesterday, scrambling through the jungle, would have been a different story. Hey, peace.
Okay, and a bit further on the next pass, again in the middle of nowhere, between villages on either side of the pass, we come across some locals collecting herbs and leaves from the forests for traditional medicine and food items, staying underneath a huge boulder actually in a cave. And as we lost the trail here pretty late in the evening, unable to proceed further, we decided to stay along with them, treated on wonderful hospitality in this cave.
Wood-fried rotis are getting ready here in our cave. Good company of 7 villagers of Panga. Pagna, sorry. On the right we have the rotis, on the left we have the dal here. So I think we're all settled for dinner. And tomorrow morning they should be showing us the way to the paths down into the Birahi river valley. A wonderful night stay today.
Well, this was then the way down from the cave, where again we lost the trail just like the previous day, and we ended up scrambling on a near vertical rock face here covered with dry grass, holding on to our life as we tried to get down into the Birahi river valley.
Beautiful views on Trishul 1, 2, Nandagunti and Ronti as we get into the Birahi valley below to the village of Garigaon. We're climbing down, quite steep as we missed the trail. So scrambling down a steep slope. Lucky there is grass to hold on to, otherwise it would be more tricky. And there we can see the Parbats above the.
Okay, then here again, passing through another valley on the way west again, we come through a small hamlet of Gaur, where ladies are grinding ingredients to make a delicacy.
Rasagula preparation here for the festivities in the evening. Looks like a marriage.
शादी है? शादी है क्या?
नहीं नहीं
ऐसे ही?
ऐसे ले जाओ बाबे क्या अंग्रेजी लड़की के लिए लड़कियों के पास देना है अच्छी ससुराल जा रही ना
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा
हाँ तब लड़की के लिए
Okay. And then final slide in my presentation, fast forwarding close to 2,000 kilometers now on my last 2 days towards back to Dehradun. I again came across a nice family here in the middle of nowhere, out of food, out of shelter. One family invited me in their beautiful wooden home to stay and prepared dinners for the night.
Wonderful hospitality at the hamlet of Chapra here. Got invited by a friendly family for yummy home cooked food. Sitting around with the son and mommy in the kitchen. There's no power here. It's a very cozy place, warm. It's pretty cold outside. So it's nice, warm in the kitchen. Looking forward, looks very tasty. Let's get started.
Voila, that's it. Small little taste of my journey around 110 passes during deep winters, November to February 2021 across Uttarakhand. For any queries, a lot of daily blogs, thousands of photos, hundreds of videos, you can check my blog, ultrajourneys.org. There's a lot of beautiful maps also to follow my footsteps. All the trails were accurately recorded, added to OpenStreetMap, so anyone can easily download and follow my footsteps. I hope it was interesting, hope to inspire some of you into independent trekking rather than to go to the same commercialized places with commercial trekking groups. I can assure you that going by yourself is a lot more satisfactory activity, planning your journey, guiding your own way, finding your way, carrying your own gears and food, planning your night shelter and food along the way is a much more satisfying experience than going along with a big commercial group. For any questions, please feel free to contact me through any of the handles provided on my blog. Thanks. Hope to see you on the mountain sometimes. Checking out from Ultra Journeys.